My next patron question is from Benjamin, who's curious about the emotional response movies can have in an audience. How can a movie make you cry? I'm sure, if asked, a lot of people can name movies that made them cry, and this can be for a variety of reasons. The story and images in a film could be similar to someone's own experiences and tap into their memory of an event that left an emotional impact. For example, if you had a dog, the bond between a human and their dog in a movie could remind you of the one you had with your own canine. Another principal reason you might cry during a movie is due to empathy. I think an important part of human emotion is feeling sympathetic towards other people, even fictional ones like those you see on the screen. It's why we so often find ourselves crying at the end of the movie, after we've watched them on their journey. One scene that definitely makes me emotional is the ending of City Lights. Throughout the film, we see the tramp trying to help the blind flower girl, and we see him do so much all to get her the money so she can have an operation and restore her sight. All the while, she thinks the tramp is actually a kind millionaire. So that moment when she finally sees the face of the person who helped her always gets to me. Another scene that often gets an emotional response from me is the ending of Homeward Bound: The Incredible Journey. I never had a pet, but that has never stopped me from having empathy towards animals. We see these animals go through so much just to return to their owners, and it's hard not to be filled with happiness when they finally make it and run towards them. Bruce Brown's music is a large reason for this too, as it just hits the immediate sweet spot. The best composers really can tap into something with their music, and that's why music is such an important part of any movie. Of course, Pixar has become famous for making films that make us cry. They've been accused of forcing the audience to cry certain moments, but I don't think their filmmakers are forcing anything. They're just really good at creating characters we grow to care about, and even when they're dealing with talking fish or monsters in the closet, they also tackle relatable themes. I was one of those people who had an emotional reaction to the scene in Toy Story 3 where Andy gives his toys to Bonnie. I think many of us have had that certain connection to the toys we grew up with, and have fond memories of playing with them. Toys in many ways represent our childhood. In Toy Story 3, there was also a specific theme about growing up, but never forgetting about your years before becoming adults. So even if we never found ourselves in the exact same situation as Andy, I think we could all relate to that part of him. A lot of the time, I'll see emotional movies criticized for being manipulative, and I don't think that's fair, as all films are meant to be manipulative and exist to get a certain reaction from the viewer. Some might be more successful than others, but there's no shame in the director who wants the viewer to feel empathy for the characters and the situations they find themselves in. Steven Spielberg seems to be hit the hardest for being manipulative, and I think that does a disservice to his filmmaking abilities. Spielberg is a director who knows how to use the cinematic language in a way that makes us connect with the characters on screen. When Elliot says goodbye to E.T., it's emotional because we've seen the friendship form between the two of them, and it is sad that these two may never see each other again. But Elliot and E.T. will never forget the fun they had together. I've also seen the ending of Schindler's List criticized as sappy, especially the scene where Oskar Schindler breaks down because he felt he could have saved more lives. I completely disagree. That scene not only proves how much Schindler has changed since we first met him at the beginning of the film, but also shows how even more could have been done to prevent the deaths that occurred in the Holocaust. And then Spielberg follows it up with a sequence showing the real-life survivors placing rocks on Schindler's tombstone, which tells us that despite all the destruction they caused, the Nazis ultimately failed, and the Jewish people continue to prosper and create new families. It's another example of why Spielberg is one of our greatest filmmakers, because of how well he understands the power of cinema to create empathy and awareness for others. Anyway, let me know your thoughts on the matter in the comments, and thank you for your question, Benjamin.